Story 1. That he is actually a few 12-year-olds sitting on each other's shoulders, dressed in a very large trench coat. Story 2. I work with kids who say it often. I just cringe and move on. If an adult referred to themselves as Sigma, I would likely assume they peaked during their teenage years. Story 3. They grew tired of being laughed at for referring to themselves as an alpha, so they chose to call themselves something even sillier. Story 4. The same thing comes to mind when a 7-year-old I know says he is a Sigma. Your mother shouldn't let you use TikTok. Story 5. If someone feels the need to label themselves to you, it is probably because they do not feel they have enough other qualities showing. Story 6. This person needs to stop spending so much time online in unproductive environments, absorbing unhelpful ideas, and focus on developing a genuine personality. Story 7. It means they have a small insecurities and need something to compensate for their ego. The same goes for people living in suburban areas who buy large lifted trucks with dual axles, even though the most they've ever transported in them is a bag of potting soil. Story 8. The male archetypes are pseudoscientific concepts created by individuals on the internet based on a book about wolves, which was not even accurate regarding wolves. It is advisable to avoid engaging with those who believe such ideas. Story 9. Either born in the 2000s and lacking maturity, or born earlier and still seeking validation and a false sense of purpose and manhood, which is also pitiful. Story 10. I think, are you trying to convince me or yourself? It's similar to when people boast about how many partners they have had, when the reality is actually none. Story 11. Cringe. Just straight up cringe. The same applies to terms like alpha, beta, or any other form of self-identification. People are overly obsessed with labels nowadays. Story 12. I assume he is the leader of a group of rogue reploids called Mavericks, and Mega Man X is going to stop him. Story 13. I envision myself as Mega Man X, and I am squaring off with the one responsible for the Maverick uprising. I have the Hadouken unlocked. Story 14. I've never heard anyone call themselves the boss of Mega Man X. I assumed it was an online trend. Story 15. I would not want to put him in charge of my Maverick hunters, as that is unlikely to end well. Story 16. I would say prove it. Can you hurl boulders, levitate, create a giant shield, and say, what is that melody? If you can, thank you for playing as one of the good tanks in Overwatch. Story 17. I want to be a sociopath, but I am too insecure in my real achievements, so I inflate them through a symbol system that can polish my mediocrity into something I can pretend shines. I don't truly understand or care about anyone very much, but I have learned some norms that I can use to give an impression of civility, at least in superficial interactions or with those who have been groomed enough. Story 18. He is filled with self-doubt and thinks he needs to put on an act to trick people into believing he has value or that he is deceiving others. Story 19. I have only heard children use that term in that way. If I hear an adult use it, then I suppose I will have only heard children use it. Story 20. A lonely little boy is trying to understand why he has no friends. Spoiler alert. It's because he struggles to connect with others. Story 21. Anyone who refers to himself as Alphabetigma should receive a stamp on the forehead reading, chronically online. Story 22. I have never heard someone genuinely call themselves a Sigma in real life before, but if they did, I would probably laugh at them. Story 23. Well, he wouldn't be a man to me. In my opinion, that's something little boys say because they heard it on YouTube. Story 24. What does it even mean? Alpha sounds pathetic, but at least it's the first letter. We all recognize that an A grade is good. Sigma is what S. If you're going to pick a random Greek letter, at least go with Omega. Story 25. I have only seen it used in the context of internet memes, so I personally assumed that is what it was. I am 32, though I might be out of the loop to some degree. Story 26. Children use it as a sign of respect to show a girl, I won't hurt you or take advantage of you like others did. Story 27. I think of the cheerleaders from Drumline, that Nick Cannon movie from 2002. They are all part of a sorority called Sigma Phi Alpha. They sing about it while dancing. Story 28. The pursuit of the Sigma lifestyle can often contradict the very essence of being a Sigma male. I generally do not have a high regard for the common sense of those who chase this ideal. Many individuals who pursue the Sigma lifestyle believe it is the only path to happiness and success, which also reflects poorly on their intelligence. If a man is genuinely a Sigma male, that is commendable. However, if one feels the need to proclaim it, they likely do not embody it. Often, these individuals pursue an unattainable goal, seeking validation or a sense of control in their lives. Ultimately, those who self-identify as Sigma males often fall short. Story 29. If someone calls himself a Sigma, I instantly think he is more hive-minded than I prefer in a person. Ascribing a popular label to oneself to differentiate from another group that has adopted a made-up label is unwise. Basing any part of your identity on someone else's ideas is completely foolish, in my opinion. Story 30. A Sigma male doesn't need to identify with any label. He simply exists as he is. If you claim to be one, then you probably are not. Story 31. Any man who feels the need to call himself an alpha or a sigma is trying too hard. He is probably an omega. An alpha or sigma is too busy living the dream to have time to learn red pill theory. Story 32. I have no idea what this means, but I came here to see what it does mean since my students use it all the time. Is it making fun of alpha or beta personalities? Story 33. My cousins and I have a text thread, and one of their mutual friends has a hilarious Instagram account. So cringeworthy. He refers to himself as a Sigma male. He's a decent-looking guy, but you can tell he's one of those good guy types who just can't figure things out. He comes across as a dork with the things he says. Story 34. I know a guy who calls himself a Sigma. Imagine someone who has read the textbook on how to be a Sigma and acts accordingly. He dresses in a way that he believes a Sigma should look. He is mysterious and quiet, often making strange faces. At times, he really imitates Patrick Bateman. I don't need to say that everyone thinks it's both hilarious and lame. It's clear he does this because he believes it's cool and will help him attract girls, but I've never seen him with a girl, to be honest. Story 35. I think everyone who says it is foolish. Every time I hear it, it reminds me of my 10-year-old. So whenever a man refers to himself as Sigma, I believe he is behaving like a child. Story 36. Even though the term alpha is completely incorrect, and I immediately assume that someone has a superiority complex if they use it, those who call themselves Sigma makes me think they have low self-esteem. Story 37. He is not, because a Sigma would not refer to himself in that way. It is like that awkward situation where someone says, I am the weird one in the group. If that is the case, I already hold that opinion of you, and you are likely just misguided. Story 38. If I hear someone saying Sigma outside of mathematics or Greek, I assume I am surrounded by the wrong age group and will move away before the police come and think I am a suspicious individual. Story 39. My first thought is to be nice to him in the hope that he will tell me which day not to come to school. Story 40. Online, I would assume that they are actually a child. Face to face, I would assume that I heard wrong. If it is true, bewilderment and disgust fill my mind. It raises a massive red flag. Direct them to a therapist if you happen to be a particularly compassionate person. Story 41. 19 years old with a broccoli hairstyle, plays Fortnite excessively, has never had a girlfriend, and works at a car wash. He refers to his dad as bruh. I believe I just described the entirety of Generation Z. Story 42. In my perspective, Sigmas are often described as scrawny teenagers with headphone dents who suddenly become athletic or buy a teal Lamborghini through a cryptocurrency scheme. Story 43. I remember watching Eastern European television series about mathematics featuring sigma and pi. My question is, where is pi? Story 44. Speech impediment. Wears a fedora. Does not maintain personal hygiene. Admires wealthy individuals. Has negative feelings towards women. Cryptocurrency enthusiast. Supporter of certain political views. Story 45. I feel that today 99% of people use this word ironically, so it seems he is making fun of himself. Story 46. I had to look it up once when I first heard it. I wondered what in the world it meant. Unfortunately, the way this person demonstrated its meaning made me feel that he implied overly arrogant individual. Story 47. If they refer to themselves in that way, I assume they are doing it ironically for humor. If it turns out they are serious, I think they must live a sad life. Story 48. I once had a friend who, for some reason, decided to revert to being a stereotypical high school bully in his 30s. Needless to say, I no longer talk to him. Story 49. I just chuckle. It's like saying, I'm really smart or I'm really handsome. If you have to say it, you probably aren't. Story 50. Sorry to say, but I am confident. It may be egotistical, but you need confidence to be egotistical. I am somewhat attracted to males like that, but I also do not mind bringing them down a few pegs when they take it too far. Story 51. A person is spending too much time with individuals who hold extreme beliefs, and this misogyny is likely a significant aspect of their personality. Story 52. A man who is either under a lot of stress or is very conductive. Personally, I am a Tao man and I have a lot of torque. Story 53. I always picture a comic book hero from the 1960s named the Lone Wolf. He wears a bright yellow and blue uniform with a large Greek letter plastered across his chest. His superpower is waking up at 4 a.m. every day and being extremely productive. Oh, and he can defeat supervillains by making them listen to him talk about stoicism. Story 54. There are only two types of men, good and bad. Don't make me learn any new male pronouns. Story 55. He is likely someone who lives in his grandmother's basement and spends too much time playing video games while watching Fox News. Story 56. No different than alpha, beta, or LGBTQ, they are all quite laughable. If you need a label to describe your otherwise shallow convictions, you may have deeper issues. Story 57. Sounds very much like stigma. In England, stig means trashy or unwashed. So, if you want to call yourself that, go ahead. Story 58. A sigma doesn't like attention. A sigma wouldn't admit to being a sigma. So that's a failed alpha trying to be more. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.